He's Craig.
He's Steve.
Let's do this. This is mixed lighting.
Mixed lighting.
It's a strobe with ambient light. This is, in this case, a window light at your home.
All right, now our set here, what we started with is some laminate flooring, but you can use Formica. It can be just a very clean top, but we want to sort of get the feeling of a kitchen. Doesn't have to be. You can go to Home Depot, buy some large tiles, put them together, don't grout them, don't glue them down, and then return them.
A nice cutting board. Doesn't have to be expensive. 99-cent store. Even those vinyl ones, or if you have one at home that's already got some cut marks in it, it just adds a little storytelling authenticity to the whole image.
That's a good idea.
So our cookies are
from Ralph's.
Ralph's.
Right? You got a box of like 16 of them.
Yeah.
M&Ms in them. Colorful, nice shape.
$6. Or you could go to Sidecar Donuts. Really get some pretty donuts. It's going to cost you premium, but they really do add to the whole picture.
Yeah, you got to try the Huckleberry donut. It's really good.
Double chocolate for me. Okay.
All right, so when we first set up, you can see from this softbox that you've been using the whole time with the Alien Bee, starting it off on full power. We have a film card in, and this card over here, the black side of the foam core, is set there to block some of the light from the softbox onto our surface, make it a little more dramatic, and have the focus brought to the stack of cookies.
It's going to feel like shooting one just to keep. Oh, look at that. I can see where the highlight on the blinds is now, since the light has moved, is now in our new picture. So you have to be aware of what's going on outside with this kind of image, if it gets darker or brighter.
Light will change during the day.
It will. Should we break this down and talk about the initial beginning?
All right, as on all the approaches to lighting, once you rough the light in, position that softbox to give us a nice wrap of light around the cookies, we would take a meter reading.
Let's do that.
As some of you know already, I'm a fan of the meter toward the light, and that gives us 11 3/10, which is essentially F14. Steve really likes utilizing toward the camera, and that gives us F8 9/10. So it's a 4/10, or roughly a third of a stop difference. Then you'd make a capture at that f-stop. Definitely experiment.
What are we saying, F14?
F14 is the starting point.
F14. F14 actually looks really good.
Does it? Great.
Yeah. And we chose a shutter speed for the background lighting. That's the next segment, or the next exposure value you need to evaluate. And we started with 100th of a second, because in the studio, that's kind of where we might normally start. So I'm going to show you, what we did. 100th of a second. And then we went down real quick. There's no reason to stop and evaluate each and every picture. So go ahead and just, in camera, make some quick changes with shutter speed only, and then you can come back to your Lightroom, or you can scroll back here. I think it helps speed up the workflow process.
And you can zoom in on the stills that we provided in the next video to see that process. We went over it step by step, showing the experimentation to get the balance just right here.
Now our shadows look kind of heavy, so we're going to add a fill cord.
And it's just a piece of foam core. It was scored, stands up on its own.
And again, you just put it in so you don't see it. Take a look, move it around a couple of times.
You can move it back, move it forward.
Move it forward.
You can try a taller fill card if you want to get the effect. Now, if you don't have a fill card, getting a piece of cardboard, taking some aluminum foil, as you mentioned before, crinkle it up, smooth it back out, but that will be something that will be farther away because it's going to pump more of that light toward the cookies, whereas we don't get as much pumped off the white.
And I think how you make your decision is you look at the shadows between the pictures. We want to see just enough detail in there that all the nooks and crannies and the beautiful things about these cookies or donuts that make you want to eat it. So if they're lost in the shadows, then the shadows are too dark. Also, we don't want them so bright that we lose the shape and form.
Yeah, we don't want to overfill. And you can definitely experiment with it. There's no perfect ratio. Back in the ancient times, portrait studios, 3:1, 4:1,
Right.
but not now. We are trying to create something that's unique to our particular style, your particular style.
Now we want to make sure that the softbox here is not overlighting our background. It's possible that it could be. If your background is very close, like it might be in your room, your home setting, then if you could block some of this light off, it might contribute to that nice feeling of being indoors.
And it's going to make the separation between this cutting board, which is a very similar value to our tabletop here, separate. We're going to block it, almost creating a shadow, shading the back part. Now, when you're working with somebody else, it helps for you to look through camera. Have them run their fingers up and down the edge of the
You're just on the edge. Yeah, you're just on the edge. So go out just a little bit. Stop right there. That's perfect.
And by moving your fingers, they'll be able to see the edge rather than just looking for this.
Because it's a black card, it's really hard to see.
And this was the same piece that we used in the video for the still life that stood up, and also for Bob shot, where we scored the foam core and it stood up. If you can, I understand it's a financial issue, but if you can get foam core, it's black one side, white the other, it'll be much more versatile.
And then we shoot this, we do a comparison, either on our screen capture here or on in our Lightroom catalog, and make a decision. Sometimes it may just be something that you prefer, right?
And again, your light will change during the course of this setup, so double check for that background exposure, maybe having to adjust the shutter speed. And if you want to evaluate it, shoot all those variations Steve talked about, and then zoom in on them, look it on your monitor, not just on the back of your camera. Once you get in the computer, you have a better sense of it. Now you want to show them one more little tweak?
Zoom in, take a look. See, the shadows right here look really, really nice. Yeah, let's show them.
Just one more little tweak, not necessary, but it's something that will change the feeling of the shot. This
is going to bounce some of the light from the softbox down into the cookie area. The whole space is going to get a little bit brighter. It's going to reduce the contrast.
And you don't want to angle it back towards your outside light because it'll pump too much light and overpower your softbox, and you lose all that great mood you created.
You know, Craig, there's one thing I was thinking too, is that because they're going to be in a smaller room, maybe with lights on that they can't control so easily, they may have to block those lights out. Can we show them what it looks like with the black side towards the cookies? So if you have room lights on, kitchen lights that you cannot turn off, you're going to need to shadow this area from those lights up top. And this is how you would do it.
And that's where the black side comes in, makes this much more versatile. Right. Excuse me, it could be poster board. They make black poster board, white poster board, or if you just want to take a piece of cardboard, regular cardboard, and either paint it white or put white paper on it, even copy paper that you double stick tape onto it. So you can use an old Amazon box and you turn it and made it white and it becomes a reflector, or the 5-in-1 reflector we've talked about purchasing, which you'll use down the line, whether you're doing headshots outside or in the studio.
Let's review a couple of key points maybe. We chose an f-stop that we had enough depth of field to get the cookies sharp enough to where we can see the beautiful texture. But we also want a little bit of blur in those blinds so that so that what's behind them, all the tones merge together and looks out of focus. We're creating some separation between our subject matter and our background.
Because you have to remember, we've talked about it when we first met you, how our eye goes to the sharpest thing in the shot, the biggest thing in the shot, and the one with the most texture. And we've done that on these cookies, made them the biggest thing, the sharpest thing, and has most texture, so the background will recede.
So that's depth of field. That's our f-stop choice. Now we have to choose a shutter speed. The shutter speed comes from how bright we want the background. That's it. Explore.
And the time of day is going to be difficult for you to manage when you can shoot this. We understand you're doing it at home or in the garage. And so but if the sun outside is really warm, if it's setting the sun, it can be a beautiful look.
Excellent.
Don't worry about the mismatch between the white balance. Just Make sure you use the white balance correctly for the cookies. We're using 5200. We selected that because it is actually adding a little bit of warmth. We're telling the camera that we're shooting at 5200, but we're actually a 5500 light, so it's adding a little warmth. So experiment. We encourage you, shoot it at auto white balance, shoot it at daylight, shoot it at flash, and try that 5200. We're not so concerned about the background color because we have no control over that, but we want to make sure our subject looks good.
And our softbox placement, it's just important that it goes camera left or camera right, far enough to the side that we get nice shape and form rendering with that light. And then observe the shadows, fill in as you feel, to making the picture look good. Not so bright that we lose that shape, not so dark that we can't see into the shadows.
I think we're good.
Go have fun.
That's Steve.
Yeah, that's me. He's Craig.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.